All too often, older adults expose themselves, their homes, and their neighbors, especially if they live in an apartment complex, to fire hazard. They don't do it maliciously or intentionally, it's just carelessness. For example, the number one cause of fires by older adults is related to smoking. Careless smoking, a person falling asleep with a lighted cigarette in their hand. It can result in a room like this being engulfed in flames and filled with thick, choking black smoke in a matter of minutes. But careless smoking is obviously not the only cause for fires in your home.
The most common cause of fire among seniors is people smoking in bed or while lying down. People think they'll be able to stay awake long enough to finish their cigarette, but they tend to nod off and the cigarette is still burning and catches either their bedding or a newspaper or other nearby combustible item on fire. Space heaters are a problem for older adults because they get cold more easily. They end up placing a space heater next to a combustible object, whether it's a newspaper, a blanket they might be using, or furniture. Older adults tend to actually overload their electrical outlets, or they use appliances that are plugged in through frayed cords, which is also a fire hazard. Candles left unattended are a problem because it is an open flame that can easily set a nearby object on fire, especially if you have pets or grandchildren that can knock over the candle. Older adults tend to wear looser fitting clothing while cooking or wear a towel over their shoulder, and the looser clothing or towel tends to hit the hot surface starting a fire. They also tend to have combustible objects such as cooking magazines or recipes near the hot surface, or grease fires tend to start quickly and get out of control. Wood-burning stoves and fireplaces are a fire hazard because creosote tends to quickly build up and can cause an out-of-control fire next time you go to use it. And people also tend to leave their screens open, and sparks can easily fly out and start a fire.
Now, everything these experts just said can be prevented, but it depends on your paying attention to what you're doing. So let's take a look at how you can prevent fires in your home. Or in the event something does happen and a fire does break out, we'll have some pointers to help you avoid injury.
Well, of course, our first recommendation would be that you try to quit smoking. If you are going to smoke at home, you want to make sure that you have ample ashtrays available, ashtrays that are strong and sturdy and deep. Maybe you can try keeping your smoking to the outside areas of the home. You want to be careful if you're taking medications that make you drowsy or drinking alcohol. What we want to be sure is that you never ever lay down while you're smoking. Well, we want to be careful with candles. They should be in obvious areas. You want to make sure that they're on a strong base and have a drip tray. You don't want to leave them unattended. If you're going to leave a room or you're leaving your home, you want to make sure that you extinguish those candles before you leave. Space heaters are often used to heat a small area of your home, maybe a bedroom. We have to be really careful because they generate a lot of heat. You don't want to have extra bedding or clothing. You have to be careful with newspapers. Don't want a lot of clutter around that space heater. You need to have about a 2-foot clear space all around that space heater for it to be able to operate safely. Well, when you're cooking, one of the first things you want to be aware of is what you're wearing. You don't want to wear clothing that has big draping sleeves. Aprons we have to be careful about. If you like keeping a towel over your shoulder, we have to keep these areas away from the tops of the stove because they can catch on fire. You also want to be careful of the pot handles. Make sure that those are turned inward and not hanging over the edge of the stove where they can get bumped. If you have a grease fire, the best way to try to extinguish that or bring it under control is to take the pot cover and place it on top of the burning pan. Don't try to carry the burning pan to the kitchen sink. You want to be very careful with items that you have nearby your stove. You don't want to have excess papers, mail, recipes, all those things that are combustible we want to keep away from the top of the stove. You never want to use your stove or oven to heat your home. The flames from on top of the stove or the electric element or the oven can easily spread to combustibles that might be in the kitchen, and you can have a fire. So when you go to bed at night, make sure that your stove and oven is turned off.
One precaution that seniors can take is don't overload electrical outlets. If you overload electrical outlets, then you can cause a fire. It can trip a circuit and it can cause sparks, and that can cause a fire. One precaution a senior can take is to have their chimneys inspected and cleaned annually to prevent the buildup of creosote that can in turn cause a fire in the home. Another way you can prevent a fire in the home is when you're using your fireplace, have the screen pulled and the doors closed so you can prevent sparks from coming out and starting a fire in your house. Smoke detectors are very important for senior citizens. Smoke detectors should be on every level of the home for the senior citizen so they can be alerted if there's a fire in the home. A senior citizen should change their batteries in their smoke detector twice a year. A good way to remember that is when you change your clock. Senior citizens should make sure that they have an escape route just in case of a fire in their home. They should have 2 ways in and out of their home, and once they are out of the building, they should stay out. The advantage of having a phone in the bedroom for a senior citizen is that they don't have to go to another place in the home where they can put themselves in danger. That way they can have it right there in the bed with them, and they can call 911 for emergency services. Seniors often go on vacation. It's important to have a lock box with the key to their home inside of the box, just in case the fire department has to get into their home. Only the fire department will have access to this key. So if we can access this key and get into the home, then we can get in and respond to an emergency if there is one there. For seniors with impaired hearing, we recommend a vibrating smoke alarm. It works in conjunction with your standard smoke detector. When your smoke detector alarm sounds during the night, it will activate the alarm, causing the pad to vibrate, waking the person.
The key to fire prevention is paying attention to what you're doing. Don't leave anything unattended that could produce a high degree of heat or flames. Remember the #1 cause for fires with older adults? Careless smoking, somebody falling asleep with a lighted cigarette. It's easy to prevent. Just quit. Look around. Look for things that could cause a fire and remove them. Then go on to safely enjoy your golden years.